Welcome to the Razors Inc. podcast with your host, Jonathan Farini. With the recent partial government shutdown and the resulting impact on TSA, and runway incidents seemingly happening on a more frequent basis, airports have been in the news a lot lately, and not for the best of reasons. But airports are more than transit hubs. They're crossroads of nations. Their mix of international access, dense crowds, and symbolic importance makes them natural stages for life-changing events. So pour yourself a drink, pull up a chair, and hear Jonathan's take on movies, television, and today, an imaginary scene that could change how you think about songwriting. Here's your host, Jonathan Farini.
Airports are strange places. They're kind of like temporary cities where nobody intends to stay, but better than bus terminals. People pass through with half-finished thoughts on unfinished journeys and maybe, just maybe, with unfinished songs. Now imagine this. A snowstorm shuts down flights across the Midwest. Terminal C is crowded with stranded travelers. And at a quiet table near gate 42 sit four men who probably shouldn't be sitting together anywhere except in a dream. Jim Croce, Robert Plant, Neil Young, and Bob Dylan. Four completely different songwriters with different voices. And for a few unexpected hours, they talk shop. Someone mentions the weather, someone jokes about delayed concerts, and eventually, as musicians always do, they begin talking about songs, not hits, not royalties, but songs themselves, where they come from, how they're built, why some of them last forever. Oh, how I would like to be a fly on the wall overhearing this conversation. It would be like attending the Fields Medal Awards ceremony for mathematicians because, as my podcasts preach when discussing music, lyrics are the calculus of writing. Eventually, someone asks the question musicians always ask each other. If we wrote one together, what would it sound like? Now, that's a fascinating question because these four men represent four completely different songwriting traditions. Storytelling, myth, loneliness, mystery. And yet somehow they might fit it together or do the math and solve the equation. Let's start with Jim Croce. Croce always wrote like a man sitting across from you at a bar, telling you a story about someone you almost recognize. The songs were filled with mostly working people like truck drivers, pool hall players, dreamers just barely holding things together. So if Croce starts the song, the opening probably sounds like this. A tired waitress wiping tables in bad late-night terminal light. The air traffic controller grabbing a bite says the storm's been stubborn, like picking a fight. A soldier in transit is catching a nap on the window pane with a duffel bag for a bed. And all the gates down the corridor remind me of all the travelers' lives never led. Why does that work? Because Croce's genius was human detail. You can see the scene, you can feel the fluorescent lights, you know these people. Croce grounds the song in reality. He gives the story a place to stand, to be. Then Robert Plant leans back in his chair. He was the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Plant writes differently. Where Croce sees people, Plant sees legend. Storms become symbols, journeys become mythic. So Plant takes Croce's airport scene and turns it into something larger. Snowplows drive the runway like ancient chariots through the rain. The silver metal geese catching a break until the sky unchains their reins. Every passenger is on a sojourn following a map lost deep inside their soul, waiting for the winds of fate to help them find their seat in a maze of rows. Suddenly the airport isn't just an airport anymore. It's a crossroads, a mythic waiting place, so to speak. See, Plant expands the story from human scale to epic scale. Now, Neil Young speaks up. Neil Young has always written songs that feel quieter, lonelier. His characters drift through landscapes carrying emotional weight. He hears Croce's characters in Plant's thunder, and he brings the focus inward. Some old man is at gate 16 staring out at the fallen snow, needing somewhere to go. He holds a faded photograph so old all the faces are turned away from the light. Maybe he's praying somewhere after the storm he'll get it all right. Young's power is melancholy observation. His lines never shout, but they do ache for me. And suddenly the song feels intimate again. Then Bob Dylan looks up, and when Bob Dylan writes, he bends language itself like a parabola in calculus. His verses are riddles contained in a textbook titled Calculus. Prophecy poetry with mathematical precision. So Dylan listens to Croce's characters, Plant's myth, Young's loneliness, and he stitches them into something on the surface seemingly stranger but beautifully abstract. The lawyer lost his brief inside a suitcase full of spam. The nun's rolling beads of thunder inside the palm of her hand. Everyone looking to tomorrow and the patterns of the sky, but every road home still begins with asking why. Dylan doesn't explain the story, he mystifies it. He turns the airport into a metaphor for life itself. Now here's the remarkable thing. When four writers with different instincts collaborate, they often discover something new. Kind of a shared center, a chorus, something simple enough that all their styles can orbit around it. So maybe the chorus sounds like this. Life's like waiting on a weather change, watching snowplows roll down the line. Every heartbeat is like a flight delayed till the weatherman says, "Now's the time." And if the sky is merciful and opens wide, and the never-ending night goes away, every life inside the terminal tried will be here again someday. Notice what happens? Croce's humanity, Plant's grandeur, Young's loneliness, Dylan's mystery, they all coexist. Collaboration like this works because each writer contributes a different layer of meaning. Croce writes people, Plant writes myth, Young writes emotion, Dylan writes mystery. Put those together and suddenly the song feels bigger than any one perspective. It becomes something closer to life itself. Which raises an interesting question. Could a song like this ever come from one writer? Or is songwriting sometimes more like a writer's room as described in my podcast by the same name? Comedy writers have known this for decades. Ideas improve when they bounce between minds. One person writes the setup, another writes the twist, and another sharpens the rhythm. Music is often imagined as the opposite. The lonely songwriter late at night with a typewriter or a guitar, a candle burning in a London flat, or a cold water apartment somewhere in New York. But history tells us something different. Bands write songs together all the time. Verses get swapped, hooks get rewritten, lyrics evolve through conversation. Creativity can be solitary, but it can also be collective lightning. If the four of them kept writing, maybe the bridge would sound like this. Outside the airport and past the runway lights, many, many miles from here, a door is thrown open in the dark for anybody coming near, and every worn-out sojourner tonight with someone waiting on their mind, a name, a face, and flight number glowing like the cloud-covered stars across wicked time which knows no man's schedule. Now the song becomes universal, not about airports, not about weather, but about waiting for journeys to begin, waiting for love, waiting for life to finally move forward. So imagine the four of them sitting there in Terminal C. Jim Croce smiling at the waitress, Robert Plant watching the storm clouds roll across the runway, Neil Young quietly studying the people in the chairs nearby, Bob Dylan scribbling something strange in a notebook. Four different imaginations, four different languages, and yet one song. Could that song have been written by just one of them? Maybe. Great songwriters often contain multiple voices inside them. But collaboration does something special. It creates unexpected harmony between ideas that might never meet otherwise. It's conversation turned into music. You get it? Eventually the snowstorm ends. Flights begin boarding again. Gate numbers light up. Passengers gather their bags. And somewhere in the terminal, four musicians stand up from a table. One heads toward a tour, another toward a studio session, and another toward home. But maybe one of them carries a napkin in his pocket, a napkin with a half a song written on it, a song that sounds like four voices, but somehow feels like one. And somewhere, someday, maybe someone finishes it. Who do you think might complete the song? I know who it will be. Till I see you next time, please leave behind a soft footprint, and class is dismissed.
And musical collaborations among giants don't always work. I would argue that McCartney and Stevie Wonder should have produced something far more genius than Ebony and Ivory. On the other hand, Robert Plant's collaboration with Alison Krauss produced something far more mind-blowing than either camp could have expected. But when there's contrast that complements, when there's clear creative direction instead of just big names together, and a willingness to take risks rather than play it safe, that is when magic happens. You've been listening to the Razors Inc. podcast with Jonathan Farini. Be sure to check out Jonathan's collection of fiction at jonathanfarini.com. Also, look for Jonathan's latest short story, The Blue Binder, in which a young man with special needs is given a gift that's far more valuable than at first blush. The Blue Binder has just been published in the April edition of Borderless. You'll find it online at borderlessjournal.com. You can also drop an email anytime to razorsincpodcast@gmail.com.